Hello DC Cosplay. I am here at the Workhouse Arts Center doing the preview for our haunted trail. And if you're seeing this, this means that you're special and you get to see a preview. So I'm not going to release this to the general public because everybody else has to find out exactly what it is that we're going to release later. So yeah, I gotta go around because this is still on lockdown. All right. So why don't you take a walk with me and we'll explore what we have available so far. The trail is still under construction, so by the time we actually have our event, it'll be fully done and ready to go. So this just will at least give you some idea. This is a quad. So this was like the main common area for the inmates when this was a reformatory. So you've got all sorts of really cool red brick. These buildings date back to the 1930s. And they actually used brick that they made near the Occoquan River. So this is our tent, and we'll actually have it set up for like music and live entertainment during the haunt, but this is a place where people can kind of hang out or congregate, or if you actually like the whole tent atmosphere, there's that. Oh, and all the way down there, the Virginia is for lovers thing. It's a big theme here. So because I have to go around, we're going to go through this predominantly backwards, but this is just to generally give you an idea. And I know there are a number of people that have been like, hey, I don't have anything spooky, I don't have anything Halloween-like. Well, this place is really flexible, and just think of it as using it as a historical backdrop or prop, and we can go from there. Cool? So this is going to be one of our areas. I can't quite say what it is yet, but this is going to give us quite a bit of space and quite a bit of leeway where people can use the scenery and do things accordingly. You can actually hop into those pallets. I don't recommend it because they're not built for stability. However, these are actually pretty strong and you can actually kind of slip in there. Just be careful, mind the rest. So there. And then of course you can get back here behind the fence and do some cool stuff. This is the back of that building. Oops, trying not to trip. In the back of that building, we finally cleared that out of like weeds and stuff. So if you actually want to use the space back here, you're more than welcome to. And that's the big thing that I wanted to point out, is that we have access to the entire facility. So any of the grounds, any of the outdoor buildings, we can't actually unfortunately use the indoor studios or any of the classroom space right now, but everything on the haunted trail and everything actually at the workhouse property. So that includes some of the walking trails back behind the property are fair game. This is another area. It's not done yet, but the construction has been pretty cool so far. There's that really cool area there that just kind of drops off. And let's go there first before I show you what we did to Murder Alley. So around here, gotta be careful about that because that's a pretty steep drop, and the stairs that were there don't exist anymore. But this will be more or less open for our use. So if anybody wants to kind of sneak back here, do photos. I don't know if you guys remember, but this was the gym, and some of us did some really cool photos here last year. These were some of the outdoor lockers, and this was the gym facility. That's going to be locked. I'm going to see if I can talk to some people and see if we can get access to the inside of the building, because we use that for storage for a lot of our haunt stuff. This is the old cafeteria area, so you can see there, and this is Murder Alley. So I don't know if you guys remember, but we had the maze in a different area last year. Well, we've moved the maze. It's here in Murder Alley because this was a long stretch of what the fuck. This is very, very long, and oh my god, I'm so tired. So this is gonna be cool. And our theme this year is actually a harvest festival. So you'll get to see all this cool stuff decorated with pumpkins and have that really cool fall vibe. Okay, the other part of Murder Alley that we have not finished decorating yet. But this more or less will be the entrance this year. And like always, that door's locked. Don't try to open it, please. All right. That part's a little less exciting, so back on the high. We will also have the docks available. They will be used again, so let's take a look at that. So this isn't going to be incredibly ripped off like it was last year, but we will have access to use the space. That kind of goes back to a common area. We shot with that last year. The doors to all of these rooms are going to be closed. They are padlocked. They're largely storage space, so there's nothing really interesting or important in there. They used to be refrigerators for the food services that was at the reformatory. So there's really nothing cool or interesting, but these docks are cool. Don't think they were going to use the blow-up dolls that we had last year. We are more than likely not going to use that area in stagings. We're probably going to move it, so don't even worry about that. The power plant is definitely still off limits. That area is condemned, so please don't trespass. And then we'll have this tunnel here for entry, and then we're going to have some more tunnels this way. Like last year, I don't think we'll have access to the tunnel itself because the hut will be closed, and we do a lot of inspections and make sure that it's safe for our guests when they come in. But this will give you an idea of what that space looks like. And of course, like last year, right now we've got Fairfax County using that space, trying to clear it out and clean up some things, but we might just go ahead and congregate there like we did last year, or we might congregate under the tent. We'll see. That's going to largely depend on whether or not we actually still have the market days going. If we have the market days going, we'll just hang up by the garage over there, or if we don't, we can probably use the tents, because that way it's nice and cool and whatever. Those trail areas this year are not a part of the haunt, but they are part of the Workhouse Arts Center, so if you actually want to go back there, and if the gates are open and accessible, you can shoot back there. We had some structures left over from last year that were used mainly for our like haunted forest type thing. They're still out there, but keep in mind they've been largely, I don't want to say abandoned, but they haven't been used in about a year, so they might not be the safest, so keep an eye out for like rusted nails and stuff like that. And it's definitely a hell of a hike compared to the rest of the campus, but big change for this year. Our woods part of the area for this year is totally different, so if you want to go back to the old tried and true woods area that we've used for the past couple of years, you're more than welcome to. Not going to say no, but let's try something new and different, right? Walking past the power plant, pretty interesting area. And back here is a really cool area to shoot too. There were a couple hornets' nests that were a problem last year, but we've moved them. And those stairs are actually really cool to shoot on. There are terribly many stairs that we can still use or shoot. Those are still one of them. So definitely try to take advantage. Last year that was really overgrown with vines, but we're trying to take advantage of this entire space here, because this is pretty cool. Especially if you want to do like a post-apocalyptic type thing, that's a great space for it. And then right across the road here, we've got all of the red brick, historical red brick that we've kept on campus for repairs and stuff. This area used to be classroom space, not dorm space, but just kind of recreational areas. This was kind of off limits to the inmates, but this area is really cool, and we'll have more or less access to it again. So more mazy type things, and this will probably not be open, but I can ask and see if we can get access. Hello, puppy. What are you doing here? Not supposed to be any puppy dogs here. Oh, hi!
I was trying to get it. I was trying to get it. Do you know how the kissing booth works?
Yeah, it's got the drop door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For if you guys use it, for the first one. It's also got a hole.
Yeah.
In the here, so you can. It's a little difficult to watch people sometimes.
Right.
When it gets dark, but it's basically
right. Oh.
Just whoever.
Okay, leaving from there, we've got this. We got that area too, which is fun. And also, a lot of the doors are welded shut, so don't even try it. What? Those are stairs? Sorry, distracted. Hey. And there's a wonderful Miss Jen. If we need anything, she is our guide and our liaison and will help us. Do not piss her off because I will skin you alive. Alright. There we go. It's more of this mazy type area. And I don't know if y'all remember this from last year, but that whole descent area, which is really cool. And this is going to be like really, really souped up for this year, so this is a great area to shoot. You got all the broken windows and all this fun stuff. All right, so this area actually starts from all the way up there. We've got these really cool stairs and stuff. Please don't go down here. I know it looks cool and stuff, but it's gonna be hard for y'all to get in and get out, and this is gonna be basically tied down. So for safety reasons, please don't do that. But we'll have this entire area And of course, places where people can kind of pop in and out easily. And this would be up the spooky. Next area. Alrighty, so this next area is new. We haven't actually used it before, but it's still part of the property, and it's actually really fucking cool, and I'm excited about it. So let me show you what eventually will be the petting zoo. So you have this really interesting lead up, and all these vines and stuff going up to this building. Y'all can go down there, but just be careful with things like poison oak, poison ivy, poison sumac. It's still warm enough for ticks, so be careful. We've got this approach with these windscreens. There's supposed to be scarecrows in those pallets. We don't have them yet, but it'll be there. And this will be the petting zoo / butcher shop. So, got that really cool area right here with the building. We've got all this stuff here, and we've got this entire area back here. Make for some pretty interesting backgrounds. Over here too, more farmland stuff. And up here, we haven't decorated this yet, but we were thinking about doing like a pumpkin patch, so that would be cool. All right, so up and around. And it just gets to the part where it's just kind of a bit of a hike, but not too bad. But one area that I'm actually really excited about is the barn area, and we're headed there next. So here we go. We've got the barn. And there will be an interesting junction here that we will need to finish building first. We're going to go back here. And we are going to use that old watch house for something. But if you would like to use it for shooting, you're welcome to. Some old foundation stuff. Old repair buildings. And like always, this used to be overgrown, so if you're going to actually use the inside of these buildings, please be very, very careful. So there's that. And this back area back here, which is pretty cool. This is going to be our cemetery. So we're not done with it yet, but we'll get there. You can see the barn over there. Got this area here. And I don't believe we're going to use that space there, but for us, and shooting purposes, if you want to sneak back here, just be careful of like snakes and things that are overgrown. You can kind of hop back here and use the vegetation. Personally, I don't go back there just because, you know, I don't like ticks. I'm not saying that there's going to be ticks there, but still it'll be warm enough to where there could be ticks, so just be careful. We have this whole area over here. And this will be a really cool kind of like scout area with kids in their camp and them basically bunkering down. And yeah, bunch of crows. Hey, I made friends. Alrighty. It's not confirmed yet whether or not we'll have access to this building. If we do, I'll update and keep us posted, but we were hoping that we could use this building, but we might not. So, all right. Scout area. It'd be really cool if we did use that building, but of course that's up to the county as to whether or not they're going to let us into that area. So this was like super built up over the weekend. Some more pallets. More places for people. The crows are kind of going crazy because I have a crow call and I was testing it, and I was saying that there's like food and stuff nearby, and they might be mad because there's no food. Oopsies. I think I need to bring peanuts or something. Alright, this is going to loop around here. This is another old building that's kind of covered behind vegetation, but as far as like using vegetation for like backdrops for photos, this is really cool. Alright, we have this whole bend around here going down to the barn We're not actually going to be able to go in the barn right now. They're in the process of remodeling, renovating it to actually use it as a live venue space, but we can actually use it as a backdrop, which is pretty cool. And then the other place where they used to store some of the farm equipment here at the reformatory. So I don't think it'll be open for us, but if it is, we can check it out. There's a space there where you can go down there, but you can't actually access the building. There's also steep drops, so be careful and mindful of that. So there's this area here. There's this whole space here, which looks really fucking cool. So if you want really cool vines and vegetation for a backdrop, this is a great place. It's also shaded, it's nice and breezy, stays away from the sun. And this is just something that just would look pretty rad. And you can kind of see here that they've got some of the more modern stuff for the build out of the barn. All right, here we go. I don't have an estimate yet as to when the workhouse is actually going to be done with the build outs for the barn, but it's supposed to be part of their like 6-year plan. So hopefully soon, but you never know. Coming around here, you can see additional stuff. Got all this really cool foliage that would make a wonderful backdrop. There we are. And then we're actually not going down here, but there's some really cool stuff that I mentioned last year that if you're willing to take the hike, makes a great backdrop. So let's go take a hike. And it's actually where some of the crows and stuff live. So don't mean to scare them or piss them off, but here we go. So these areas are actually kind of harder to access now because it's so overgrown, but if you're willing to take the trek and make the hike, it's possible. So let me just show you how to get there. You take this path, how to go all the way down, just avoid as much foliage as possible, and it takes a road all the way down there, and that leads to what used to be the greenhouse. I don't recommend hopping into the greenhouse, but it's interesting brick. And then here, this road here, this is actually where it came from the barn. Looks really cool. And people use this for like bike and running trails, so be mindful of that because they might, they normally don't expect people down here, so they might not be mindful of you, so just be very careful if you decide to hike and walk down here. For those of you that like doing, more fantasy related things, so like elves, fairies, things of the sort, this is actually a really good place because, you've got these really cool vine, this really cool foliage, and you get that really nice like woods outdoor sense, Or hell, if you want to do like Jason from like Friday the 13th, this is actually a pretty good spot too, Right behind me, you can kind of see the other side of like where we have the farm equipment. And this actually isn't too bad of a hike. It's just that if you're willing to take the hike down here, it's just, keep in mind, it's a little bit more separated from the rest of the trail and the rest of the workhouse. That drop that I mentioned, this is where it goes. So pretty steep, and be very careful because I really do not want anyone hurting themselves because that would suck. That would really suck for everyone. And yeah, it's probably the old aqueducts. And we don't need to look at that because that's all overgrown and kind of gross. But if you keep going down this trail all the way down, you'll see a couple of very interesting things. So first things first, they're part of the aqueduct system, more aqueducts than acequias. So I can kind of show you guys what that looks like. That's this spot here. You kind of have to jump through all that stuff, and it goes down to where it drains into like the Aquapon River. Oop, fuck. And then all this is swampland, so this might be kind of whacked down by October, but there's actually, if I can kind of zoom in, you can kind of see it from one of these angles. Ah, there it is. The brick, you can kind of get a sense of where one of the drainages used to be. It's still kind of there, and then just kind of goes down into like swampland, which is pretty cool when it like rains and stuff, because you can actually see just how much of this area is in fact a swamp. Let me show you an example. I'm not saying to actually get into the swamp, but if you really want to go full Shrek, you got your swamp. Oh yeah, and before I forget, this is also an area with a bunch of horse trails, so be mindful of that. I normally don't see people go down here with horses, but it is possible. Usually you see people on bikes. You see people just kind of like running. That's the most common thing. So just be mindful if you're going down these trails that you might run into someone who is not expecting you. I'm looking at the crows overhead. Hope they're not mad at me. All right, so this trail kind of branches off and goes down here, and this will actually lead to what used to be the slaughterhouse. So, like I said, if you're willing to take this very long hike and go down here, it's a pretty good payoff. However, keep in mind, you're going to be using, vulture, using a lot of your time shooting, hiking, and that might actually limit you a little bit. Hey, vulture. They're not really used to people coming down here, but people don't come down here anymore. But hi, that is a cool vulture. And I'm going to be a nerd about it. Whee! No. All right, where was I? So this is completely overgrown now, but sometimes when they chop it back, you can actually get near the building. Yeah, right there. And there is like a boiler and a bunch of other really cool stuff. It looks like they're letting it stay overgrown because they don't really want people here. But this is where the slaughterhouse used to be. But, oh yeah, this is the easier way to get to it. There's that. It's very much condemned, so please don't try to go in there. The trail actually doesn't go back up and around there. This is actually like the old trailheads from when this was the reformatory. But if you keep going down here, they had the slaughterhouse and they had like the meat processing plant. So this is actually where they did a lot of the meat processing, was here. And more of the trails here. You get some pretty wooded areas. Crows are now pissed off because they're making their, their, hey, there's a human here, danger call. All right, so you can see this. It goes all the way over here. It's gonna cut around. And you should not, in theory, be able to access that building, but there's some pretty interesting stuff. Like you can kind of see, you know, an old generator and stuff in there. All right. Like always, don't do anything stupid. I'm walking over a bunch of rocks and it could be easy to trip if you're not wearing the proper footwear. So just be very careful if you decide to go take your hike down here. Man, those crows are pissed. They're really not used to having anybody come back here. But you can see behind me, that is a giant, cool brick wall. This is really cool. Stones going up here. That's a dead end. Slaughterhouse loop. No horses. Told you there were horses. All right. Oh, yeah. Shit. They added this recently. But before, you used to be able to actually come down here and kind of go around and look at that area where they actually would bring in the animals for like slaughter and processing. There are some kind of cool stuff back there, but you can't actually get into the building, but that does make an interesting backdrop. So say, for example, if you wanted to do like a Freddy Krueger type thing, that would be a great backdrop, like the boiler room. There you go. And back to me. Alrighty, so back on the loop-de-loop, and passing the slaughterhouse over here. And right now, since it's the end of summer, you can still see some of the flowers and vegetation, but I don't imagine a lot of those will be available come October 15th, but you know, who knows? Climate change is weird. Alrighty, let's go back to the main area of the workhouse now. So to get back, just keep following the trail. And this information is actually published in Fairfax County Parks. So if you want, I recommend getting the map ahead of time. And sorry, something just fell on my head. Thankfully it wasn't bird poop. Where was I? Yeah. I'll go ahead and publish the map. So that way, if you decide to go take a hike and do some extra stuff, you are more than welcome to. But like I said, keep in mind, the further you go away from the main trail and the main areas, the less time you'll have to shoot with as many people as you'd like. This goes into Occoquan Regional Park. Don't go there. That's no longer our area. This is going back to the workhouse. So just keep following. Keep pressing forward. If you run into a bunch of really pissed off angry crows, you're in the right area. So you remember that from earlier? Where it's horses and shit? Yep, we're headed back. Hey, look, it's my swamp. Alrighty. And just keep going forward. Yay! If you're like me, keep note of different landmarks. There's a lot of old signs from like back in the day, and you can use that to get a sense of where you're at. So this is a 8-inch water line. Okay, cool. Awesome. So I'm just gonna keep walking until I get back to the main workhouse area and we can continue our tour from there, okay? And we're back. Yikes. It is a hot day. And that was more of a hike than I remember it being. I'm also getting old. I'm also over COVID, so breathing capacity is not great. All right, back to the main area. So if you want to take that side trip, it's fine, but hastily back to where we were. The back of the buildings are actually really fucking cool. So it's worth taking a look and exploring. All right, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ping me and I will try to find you an answer if I don't know it directly. And let's have some fun and happy hunting or happy Halloween or happy cosplay, happy collaboration. See you guys soon. Oh, before I forget, because I know I'm gonna get this question, construction will be largely done by Friday the 23rd because that is our dry run / dress rehearsal, and everything will absolutely be done by October 1st. So October 15th, the day of our event, is right in the middle of our haunt season, so everything will be done, everything will be in order, so you don't have to worry about having all of these empty spaces. If you actually want to use the haunt backgrounds, props, and things like that we have available. If none of those things matter to you, then cool. But just letting y'all know. All right, cool. See you later. And another thing, because I get this question a lot, why is this area called Murder Alley? Well, Murder Alley was named Murder Alley because it was an area that was very easily hidden from the correction officers and from the guards that worked here in the reformatory. So remember, this is the reformatory prison. We're on the reformatory side. There were some jail cells, but for the most part, this was the reformatory. Towards the end of the time of this place being open, this was an area where if you really wanted to shank someone and unalive them, you could do that. So it wasn't uncommon for people to either get beat up or just straight up killed in Murder Alley. And the name stuck. And because we are a haunt and do theater, we keep the name alive. So there's a lot of interesting stuff that dates back to when this place was open as the reformatory and as the prison that we've kept. You know, one for keeping alive the memory of what happened here. Sorry about that, stupid call. Mainly for keeping the memory alive of what happened here, and also, you know, educating people about what these places were like, or in many cases still are like. So, yeah. And this is just a clear open space now, largely parking lot. And last year, if you came to the haunt and you saw me between groups, I was probably lying down on a parking lot trying to rest. So we more than likely will not have access to this being open, but this is actually some of the cells. I would have to talk to the director of the Lucy Burns Museum because they're a little bit different than we are. They are part of the workhouse, but they are not part of the workhouse. You can see in there. There you go. They're not part of the theater program, but that's actually where you would go. And the museum itself will be open the day of our event starting at noon. But I'll have to get back to you on that one. I'm going to assume that the answer is no, but it's better to ask and to actually know an answer, right? And the theme for this year: Barclay Township, Jack-o'-lantern capital of the Mid-Atlantic, 30th annual harvest fair, sponsored by NYX Agriculture. Oh yeah, other areas of interest. You can actually go up there. That's still stable enough for someone to actually climb in to use. It's one of the watchtowers. Just be careful. There's this back area here, which was a common area for the inmates that were in the dorms. It is kind of largely like a space now. This area is the garbage. This is like white wall looking backdrop. It's a little different than the rest of the brick. Let's go down this area. So this is between buildings 3 and 4, I want to say. Yeah, 3 and 4. So this area, and a lot of the buildings actually still have the murals from when this place was a reformatory. So I'll actually show you one of those murals in a second. You might have caught them as I was walking around, and because there's one by the old cafeteria area, there's one really big one in Murder Alley that I hope that they'll preserve and fix. And I'll show you another one coming up soon. Give you another angle of what the quad looks like, because I showed the back area. So here we are. Down here, really nice long hallway shot. Really cool long hallway shot. And oh yeah, that building over there, the far beyond the love sign, that is actually going to be open fairly soon, like a cafe and some other stuff. Which would be great because getting food here sucks. There's no food. You have to do like DoorDash. But yeah, and you can also kind of see the building that the hills have above. So there you go. All those on that side, that's all studios, some office space. Like I said, we won't have access to the galleries mainly because, you know, we don't want to disturb any of the artists as they're working. We don't want to be those people. And also, you know, theater, we're working around the clock behind the scenes and people are getting things ready for, you know, our night when things open. So we kind of want to be mindful and respectful of them as they're working. However, if you happen to be here and you want to check out the stuff, they have second Saturdays where we're open at night and you can check out the galleries and everything else. Ah, yeah, here's one of the murals I was talking about. Here you go. This was original to the reformatory. There you go. Pretty cool. And you get a lot of chances to do a lot of things with red brick because this is a really cool red brick and it's everywhere. And you can see other fun stuff. It's very bug flu in my face. It's the gallery and the visitor center. It's got some really interesting stuff there. We are not going to use this space for our shoot in October, but we may or may not be able to use this space at a later time, so keep posted. And you've got that stuff which is being renovated and built out. It's off access for now, but just to give you an idea, it's architecturally a little bit different. Hey look, field grass. If you really want to shoot with field grass, we've got field grass. If you like that look, Brad, here you go. Field grass, all field grass. It's a look. No judging, but it's there. And then also, this used to be an admin building and not like a dorm, so it's a little bit different than everything else. And there's really nothing inside there, but if you want to get kind of a different shape, different feel for background, that's a good spot. Another good, like Fort Belvoir is literally like in our backyard here. So we get things like that all the time. Yeah, cool. Anyways, another really cool long shot here. And especially if any of you all do like historical costuming, another bit of history was that in 1917, before the 18th Amendment was ratified, suffragettes were actually held at this facility, not actually here, but they were held on our campus. The building no longer exists, but a lot of the story is actually told here. So if you have some time, the Lucy Burns Museum, which is over there, actually tells our story. So yeah. Oh, if you're a veteran, this is actually Military in the Arts. It's their building, so they do all sorts of cool stuff for veterans. Yeah. But yeah, that's also the grand tour of our entire facilities. So I know I've been signing off and saying bye like at least 80 million times, but whatever. Once more wouldn't hurt. Here you go. And ceramics, glass house. Yeah, enjoy. Side note, if this area is not being used during our shoot, we totally should utilize it. It's pretty much central to a lot of the areas here within the workhouse. It's a little bit further from the trail, but it's nice and breezy and it's out of the sun, so options. We will provide water this time around. That's something that we've actually discussed moving forward, that, you know, we'll just bring like a case of water bottles so that way nobody gets dehydrated. Summers have been pretty brutal, and then being in costume or just doing, you know, shoots with all that gear, it's not fun. So safety first.